Hello everyone and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. I hope you're having a wonderful week. I just wanted to give a quick update about this week. This week, as you guys know, is a shorter week. I am posting tonight, but tomorrow I'll be traveling. Friday I am not in the country, and Saturday I will be back with posting. So next Thursday and Friday, no post. Saturday, Sunday should be back on track. Now, if you do enjoy the content, of course, please drop that like and subscribe. Let's bring it together to the 800 subscribers. I would be very happy if we could do that before the end of the month, but let's see what is possible. And thank you very much for being here. Now, bonds have stabilized. TLT is comfortably now above 90. We seem to have placed a double bottom. PPI, which is the inflation for producers, has actually become negative. So this should highlight lower inflation metrics in the future. Surprise, surprise. S&P is above 4,560. I do think we're going to test the upper range of the 4,600 channel. Are we going to break it this time? Is anybody's guess. We need to wait a little bit. But the Nasdaq 100 has been closing above 16,000, and we are about 5% from a new all-time high on that index. This goes completely against most people's view in the beginning of the year, where the world was about to end and everything was going to crash and the Great Depression is here, blah, blah, all of this kind of stuff. You know how it is. Everybody positions on one side, so basically the opposite happens. And will they admit they were wrong? No, they just come up with new predictions. Now, let's go to the big juicy part of the market, the crypto market. Yesterday we had a substantial sell-off. CZ, head of Binance, has stepped down. He will need to pay $50 million. Don't feel so bad for him. I think he was worth 22 billion by the end of 2022. So I think he can afford 50 million. And I think he stepped out away from Binance, and Binance will pay a settlement of $4.3 billion, which I guess they took the easy way out, meaning stop fighting, get the guy out of there that they don't like, and basically pay the fine, get a big slap on the wrist, and move on with your activity. Now, two things. When I looked at this news, that actually, of course, the day of the news, negative, crypto sell-off, we all know that. But actually, if they're being charged 4.3 billion, that tells me that likely, I don't know, I haven't seen the book, so I cannot say this with 100% certainty, but that tells me that even after a $4.3 billion settlement, and I don't know how it's going to be paid, if it's going to be paid in installments, if it's going to be paid all at once, I don't know. But basically it's telling me that company can be charged with that and with 4.3 billion fine and still survive. So actually that tells me the company is a bit stronger than I expected, since we are just coming out of a bear market, of course. And these settlements, the way that they go, particularly when they are this big, is a bit like, okay, I'll pay, but you don't bother me again. Or I pay, but you don't bother me with similar stuff again. So if you are convinced, as I am, that Binance will survive, basically you just took out a massive systematic risk out of the equation. Something that I actually agree with JP Morgan, because they said the same thing. But this goes in line with what I've been saying over the months here in the channel. Once you have a very negative thing happening, things can only get better. See what I mean? When FTX collapsed, it's not a guarantee because other things can collapse, by the way, but it's pretty, it's a good bet that as their size, if they're going bankrupt, probably the number 1 and number 2 exchanges are not going bankrupt. See what I mean? So that most likely will mark the bottom. Or because, don't forget, because you have a sell-off event, what happens is it sells signals to the market to look for contagion. So actually during the bankruptcy of that one single entity, there's too much sell-off, which happens due to the fear of all the others starting to collapse. Once it becomes obvious that they won't collapse, then you will find out that actually that marks a bottom. And I do think, look, it doesn't matter how I feel about CZ, how I feel about Binance. You know my opinion, centralized exchanges are the opposite of why crypto was invented. I think it's a necessary evil for on-ramp and off-ramp, but that's about it. I have zero doubt that they've been doing shady things over the years. My opinion, can I prove it? No, just my opinion, but if that is really the case, I have zero doubts, zero difficulty in believing that that's the case. Now, the issue is, where do we go from here? So I guess that the idea is to remove CZ out of the picture. I'm sure he will be able to still play a role, even if as an advisor or something like that. Okay, have Binance pay the price for all the money that they've made before, and even if they're paying $4 billion, it's very rare that a settlement completely bankrupts a company. So usually these settlements are made taking into account the financial situation of the company, because you also don't want to cause, thousands of people to get laid off, and all these bankruptcy procedures, etc. So I think, if you ask me today, is it likely that Binance is going to go bankrupt? I don't think so. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe they go bankrupt next month. Who knows? I don't think so, to be honest. And also this leads me to another point of the question, which is Blackrock has been reported to be in talks with the SEC over the Bitcoin spot ETF. I do think it's coming out. I do think probably will be announced. I am still keeping my prediction of maybe late November, which is basically what I said. I understand today is the 22nd, so my room for being right is shrinking every day, but I was always of the opinion that it would happen at the end of the month, so I'm not necessarily wrong there. I would say if they announce it beginning of December or late November, I would expect it to be launched late January, maybe beginning of February. Sorry, which should tailor in with the halving in late March. So far so good. I do think we've removed a big portion of uncertainty from the market. Of course, we still look. I think the Binance will survive, but again, the company is not publicly listed. I cannot check their financials, so I cannot know for sure if that's the case. Moreover, I know there are some accounts of them on the internet, but it's always very difficult to really understand the parent structure of it. So I get a bit away from it, to be honest. But actually, in my opinion, of course, you have the sell-off on the day, which is the bad news. But if you actually look a little bit forward, you'll see that most likely it's actually a positive development. And with that, guys, I will leave you be. Wish you all the best. Don't forget, see you on Saturday. And thank you very much for your time. Like and subscribe. Don't forget, leave a comment. And have a great rest of the week.